Hare Krishna. So we are entering the new section and the last section of this chapter, chapter number 13. And this section is going to basically talk about the Purusha, Prakriti and their interaction or union. So here when we say Purusha, we are actually talking about the living entity and Prakriti is the material nature. And their interaction results into various things which will be described by Krishna very elaborately in this section. So this section starts from Shloka number 20 and it goes up till Shloka number 26. Yes, till Shloka number 26, and after that few more Shlokas will be describing the new topic. So let's start with Shloka number 20. Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Vidyanadi Udbhavapi Vikaramscha Gunamschaiva Vidhi Prakriti Sambhavan. So here it is said Prakritim, material nature, Purusham, that is the living entities. So Prakriti and Purusha, that is material nature and living entity, Cha eva Vidhi. It has to be understood that both Ubhavapi, both of them are Anadi, they are beginningless. And then it is said Vikaramscha, Gunamscha. So the transformation and Gunamscha, that is the modes of material nature, Vidhi Prakriti Sambhavan. It has to be understood that they are products of material nature. Now this is basically talking about the living entity and the material nature to be beginningless. So we'll try to discuss on this concept. And after that it is talking about another very important concept, that the transformation that is there, that is seen on the body of the living entity and the three modes of material nature, they are basically the products of the material nature. So there's another concept that is there. So let's try to get deeper into this, and surely by understanding this section, our perception of this world will change. Perception of our body will also change. So let's see different important points here which will help us to understand. By the knowledge given in this chapter, one can understand the body, that is Kshetragya, the field of activities, and knowers of the body, the field of activities is Kshetra, and knowers of the body, Kshetragya, both the individual soul and the super soul. The body is the field of activity and is composed of material nature. So we have seen this elaborately in one of our previous videos, that how this body is made up of 24 elements, starting with the Pancha Mahabhuta, earth, water, fire, air, ether, and going into the subtler aspects, not till the mind and unmanifested material nature. So we have seen all that. So this body is made up of 24 elements of this material nature. So this has to be very clear. The individual soul that is embodied and enjoying the activities of the body is Purusha, or the living entity. He is one knower and the other is super soul. So who is there in this body? Who is there in the Kshetra? Kshetragya is there. Who is that Kshetragya? The first Kshetragya, or the knower of the body or knower of the field of activities, is the living entity. And the living entity is called as the Purusha. Purusha here basically means the one who is an enjoyer. Here we are not talking about the gender, Purusha and Stri. We are talking about Purusha, which means enjoyer. And there are two personalities who are Kshetragya. One is the spirit soul, that is individual soul, all of us, and second one is the super soul. Now see, this individual soul and super soul, they both are coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So technically, if we understand this concept, then the super soul is basically the Swa Amsha of Krishna, or personal expansion of Krishna. So in one of our videos we saw elaborately that how from Krishna comes Balram and from him comes Chaturvyuha expansion. From Sankarshan in Chaturvyuha we have Narayan, and from Narayan again we have Dvitiya Chaturvyuha expansion. And from the second Sankarshan then we have the Purusha avatars, Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Shirodakshaya Vishnu. And the super soul whom we are talking about is Shirodakshaya Vishnu. So Shirodakshaya Vishnu is direct expansion, personal expansion of Krishna. And what about the living entities? We are the separated or vibhinamsha. So we are also his energies, but then we are the separated ones. This is what we can say, vibhinamsha. So in this way we understand that we all, that is the living entities and the super soul, are directly coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now here it is given that both material nature and living entity are eternal. So this is a very important concept to understand. They existed before the creation. The material manifestation is from the energy of the Supreme Lord, and so also are the living entities, but the living entities are of superior energy. Both the living entities and material nature existed before this cosmos was manifested. So we need to understand both material nature and living entity are energies of Krishna. Let's be very clear. They are energies of Krishna. Material nature is inferior energy and the living entity is superior energy. And we have discussed this in 7th chapter, Shloka number 4 and 5. So Shloka number 4 describes about the material nature, and Shloka number 5 in 7th chapter discusses about the superior entity, that is the living entities. So they both are energies of the Lord. So they don't have a beginning. They always existed, or they always exist with the Lord. So they are beginningless. We cannot go and trace back a point when they were born or something like that. They always existed. This is the point that is made very clear here. And then it is mentioned here that material nature was absorbed in Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mahavishnu, and when it was required, it was manifested by the agency of Mahat Tattva. Now, if suppose someone is asking a question that, okay, where was the material nature then? So everything, material nature and the living entities, they take shelter of Mahavishnu at the time of annihilation. Now, when Lord Vishnu, Mahavishnu, he breathes from every pore of his body, comes out Brahmanda. Now, these different Brahmandas which are there, they are not there exactly as the universe with lot of different things, with lot of details in it. It's like everything mixed. That's what we can think about. And that is called as the unmanifested form. It is called as Pradhan. And when the Lord glances on this Pradhan, then the Mahatattva manifests. Sometimes Pradhan and Mahatattva, these two technical words, are interchangeable. They are used like that. So here it is said that where was Prakriti? Prakriti was there in the body of the Lord resting. And when the Lord desired, he manifested the same. Similarly, the living entities are also in him, and because they are conditioned, they are averse to serving the Supreme Lord. Thus, they are not allowed to enter into spiritual sky. But with the coming forth of material nature, these living entities are again given a chance to act in the material world and prepare themselves to enter into the spiritual world. That is the mystery of this material creation. So this is another very important point. Sometimes people will ask, oh, if we were there in Mahavishnu's body, then we should be liberated. See, liberation is not about which place we are in. Liberation is there in our consciousness. Problem with us is we have the consciousness of what? The consciousness of being averse to Krishna. We don't want to worship Krishna. Naturally that is there. We are envious of the Lord. So because of this, even when we are there in the body of Mahavishnu, we are still separated. We are still separated. We don't enter spiritual world because of this tendency of enjoying away from Krishna. And we don't want to serve Krishna. So since we are away from, we feel that, I am master, I should receive service. So what is the arrangement that is done? So Mahavishnu will create the entire material nature or material creation is brought up, and after that the living entities are injected into the material nature. And then the material nature, depending on the past karma and the desire of the living entity, she will give the body to that particular living entity. So this is how the entire thing manifests. Both living entity and the material nature, they are resting in the Mahavishnu's body, and when the creation happens, both are manifested. Now here it is said that actually the living entity is originally the spiritual part and parcel of Supreme Lord, but due to his rebellious nature, he is conditioned within the material nature. It really does not matter how these living entities are superior. So this is a very important point. Because of our rebellious nature, because of our aversion to Krishna consciousness or Krishna, we are situated in this world successfully. So it's a very important point to note that how can we come out of this tendency of being rebellious? How can we come out of the tendency of being the master? By engaging ourselves into devotional service. Sometimes devotees do say that I don't get interest in chanting. I don't get interest in doing these things. Because we are rebellious, we don't get interest. So what are we supposed to do? We have to force ourselves and keep doing it. We might not be interested, but the activity that we are doing is not material activity, it is transcendental activity. And just by coming in touch with chanting the holy names of the Lord, or coming in touch with Bhagavatam, Bhagavad-gita, or deity worship, or prasadam, fasting on Ekadashi, all these different transcendental aspects, if we come in touch with regularly, what will happen? This dirty mind that is there, or contamination that is there within us, will be cleansed very nicely. And with that cleansing, our original nature will manifest. We are originally what? We are servants of Krishna. Currently that is covered by all contamination. And because of that, we have become rebellious to the Lord. So when that is uncovered, then our original nature of being the servant of Krishna will manifest, and then we become eligible to go back home, back to Godhead. So when we are chanting the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, we beg and pray to the Lord that I am a rebellious living entity. Please help me, please shower your mercy so that I become your eternal servant again. So that my relationship with you is revived as fast as possible, because I have got very less time. I've got very less time in this body. Please help me out. So when we call, see, that's what, when we understand the philosophy, then automatically our chanting becomes intense, our cry becomes intense. Because we understand, where am I stuck? Where am I stuck very, very badly? That's what is understood. Here it is said finally, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead knows, however, how and why this actually took place. In the scriptures, the Lord says that those attracted by this material nature are undergoing a hard struggle for existence. All transformations and variety in respect to living entities are due to the body. As far as spirit is concerned, living entities are the same. See, this point is very important to note. Sometimes people ask this question, that how did we come here? How did we come to this material world? Maybe we are not ready to understand that. We are not eligible to understand that. Supreme Lord knows why we are here. He knows it very well. So we need not go and keep searching about this. Now what we have to do is, I am here, I have to get out of this place. So what should I do for that? This should be the question. Instead of asking, why am I here? Why am I here? Why am I here? We shouldn't waste time. We don't have much time. We have very less time. So instead of pondering on why am I here, we should ponder on how can I get out of this place. And then we'll get the answer by doing devotional service. So we have got these different bodies. So much of variety is there. 84 lakh species are available. But then one thing is clear, that in each and every body, the nature of the spirit soul is the same. That is Sat, Chit and Ananda. Eternal, full of bliss and full of knowledge. So spirit soul is same in nature, but then the bodies are different. Now after speaking about this particular thing, now Krishna is going to talk about the relationship between the living entity and the changes caused by the material nature. So this is elaborately discussed now in the next verse. So let's see that in the next video. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.